format make sense? Does that answer your question about the format?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
My big concern was just how we're gonna break this down.
Oh, okay,
So,
thank you.
when I look at my team here, we all come in
Okay.
here,
Gotcha.
we do the lessons, then we can, if we want to, break
Okay.
down the smaller groups, if not, we can just stay one big group.
Yep.
It don't matter.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
yes,
got
it does
it.
not matter.
Mhm.
Does not matter, but they need to be building relationships with the kids that they're part
Yes.
of. That's the most important thing. And you need to remember that you're in charge of your room. So, like, you orchestrate it. It's
Mhm.
gonna be like this great symphony, and you're the one that's orchestrating the room. So if something's not working, change it. Do
Yep.
something different.
Yep.
When we break down, is there enough kids that we would get a group of kids too?
Yes.
Or- Okay.
Leaders who are teaching also just take a group. When it's time to sit down and do that, you just sit down with your group.
Cool. Okay. Now that you know the format, we can speed up. You guys ready to speed up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Day 2. Day 2. So each night we've named the ninja of the night. So day 1 was Moses, the bold ninja.
Moses the bold.
Right. This is Esther, the brave ninja. Okay, and so have the snack time with the questions. We have the don't flinch challenge. Anyone want to try the don't flinch challenge?
I was gonna say that, like, 'cause that's the one I'm teaching too.
Do it, Matt. Do it.
And then we'll do, I
So
wanna
what
try
you
it.
do is you'll have the students
I don't know if it's
stand,
designed for super tall people.
and then they have to put their hands down by their side for the younger kids. Yeah. Well,
That's not
It
fair,
might be
because
good.
that's like here,
And then
but
you
his
drop
nose
it.
starts here.
chin.
then you drop it, and then you have to not flinch when it comes back at you. You want to try it?
Yeah, that's what I think.
You can drop it yourself, but if they push it a little bit, it will hit them when it
Yeah, I
comes
was gonna
back.
say, no,
Yeah.
that's what could go
I
wrong.
think you wanna start up here so it comes and you don't want to.
Sounds a little scary.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Do it up there.
And
Higher,
the-
right? Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe with the younger kids too, that, I mean, the older kids, that you could actually have them like have to balance something in their hand, and so if they flinch a little bit, you know,
You
and
can see it.
they might do it without flinching, and they might not be able to do it without flinching, you know. But it's that idea, don't flinch, right? And so then we're gonna be talking about being afraid.
And do we get all 25 kids to do that, or just pick a few?
I don't think we have time to get all 25
No,
kids to do that.
okay, I didn't think we
So,
would.
so a lot of these illustrations, now if you really feel like your kids need that, we could probably build a couple extra for one or two
Well, I
rooms.
would say we'll
Do-
leave
You
the
got
time
time?
at the
Yeah.
end. If we got time at the end, we can try.
That's a great thing to say to them. Hey, if we have time at the end, more people can try it.
Mhm.
Good. I love
So
it.
behave
Okay.
yourselves.
That's right. If you behave.
If you listen.
So when you are afraid of, so the point is, life is full of things that are scary and challenging, which makes us flinch. But when we trust in God, we can be bold and brave. And then the question is, when you are afraid of something in life, what do you do? Right? So this is kind of a key tie-in, because what is it that Esther did? She prayed, she fasted, she got her friends to pray, she turned to God. I mean, she pressed into God. So asking that question ahead of time, what do you do when you're afraid? And then when we find out what Esther does when she was afraid, now they have something to compare, right? So that's why some of these setup questions are pretty key. You might want to, in preparing, like put a star next to that or something like that. So we talk about Esther. Now this particular story, we were going to read through it twice. Once, reading through and stopping it just a few times to ask a couple questions, but it's, a little bit of a long story. And then we were going to go back and read it a second time after they've made a grogger, which is going to be a plate with beans in it. That's okay, we got the idea. Paper plate folded over with beans in it to shake and make noise. And the idea was that, it's a simple idea for them. It's yay, if something good happens, and boo if something bad happens. And originally it was going to just be the boo, but I thought it's probably important for them to understand the good and the bad. And think about, like, if you read the Bible and you judge when good things are happening and bad things are happening, it really makes you digest what the Bible's talking about, right? So, to shorten it and to get this in time, so this is our auger. Yay! Now with the older kids, might not do this. I don't know. Or maybe they'd have fun doing it. I don't know. Or you could kind of play up the fact that it's something that the younger kids are doing. But is anyone brave enough to be like a younger kid and try it? I'll bet you some of the kids would want to do it.
I think they probably would anyway. And if
Yeah.
they don't,
So anyway, we can think about that. But the idea is to have them make a judgment in their head. So once upon a time, Esther was selected to be queen of Persia because of her beauty. Yay! The king had an advisor named Haman. By this time, they've heard the story once, so they know he's a bad guy. So it's like, boo, right? Haman insisted on all the officials in the king's gate bow down to him. Boo, you know. So this is just like a really shortened version, but it gives them a chance to think about when good things are happening and when bad things are happening. Relatively simple concept. There's a little bit of a trick at the end, and it says he had Haman arrested and hung on the very gallows that he built for Mordecai. And we all go, yay! And then you say, wait a minute, we're not supposed to rejoice when bad things happen to bad people. And that might be a little opportunity to say that we're not rejoicing when somebody gets hurt, you know. Because actually, that's a big thing. Like, you know, right? If
We're
you
not eye
teach
for
kids.
an eye.
Right. Kids are like almost cheer when somebody who they don't like gets hurt, you know. It's like, no, that's not good. So anyway, so that is that whole piece there. Does that make sense? It's
We
not
were
real
thinking of
deeply
something to do
theological.
for the older kids besides that. You could have like a thumbs up or a thumbs down sign
Mhm.
that they could hold up, which may
That would
not
be
feel
good.
as
Yeah.
young,
That would be
but
good,
it's
yeah.
more like the
And then maybe
the
one side is a
emojis,
thumbs up,
you know,
one's-
almost like an
I
emoji.
like that.
A happy
We use that
emoji,
at
a
work.
bad emoji.
We have a squirrel and a picture of weeds, and whenever somebody goes off topic, we do squirrel. And whenever they go down too deep into the details, they do weeds. Literally.
That's awesome. Where do you get
Yeah.
those?
Or we just print something on the internet and glue it together on a popsicle stick. It's really effective because nobody's scared to go, guys, we're getting into the weeds here. Let's move on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I like that idea.
I'll make those, I can do that, we can do that.
Cool. Okay, for the older kids. Love it.
I'll do it in
Love it.
emoji
I'm
faces.
getting my craft in one
This
way
is
or
so
another.
cool.
Should we do
Then
it?
there's
Should
a
it be an
question
emoji
that-
face, like an emoji? Emoji face.
So now this one has the question and answer before the closing prayer and action points, just to mix it up a little bit so it's not always the same. So you read the story, you answer some of the questions, right, and then you get into the closing prayer and action point. And this night, it's real simple. What my thought was is just taking prayer requests. And some of the kids have never done this before, either they're going to be in the group, so it'll be kind of new to them. But the thought was, write it down. Like when they give you a prayer request, like there's one, you know how people are where they're like, and you're like, are you getting this? Are you writing it down? Sure, yeah. And then they have no idea what you said afterwards. But when you write something down, it shows I'm listening to you, I hear what you said, it's important to me. So this would probably be a really good thing, the closing prayer action thing to do in smaller groups. And it's, hey, write down a prayer request, and then we're gonna pray for you guys. And so it's just, it seems really mundane to us, but this could be like, wow, somebody actually cares about what's going on in my life and is praying for me, you know, for some of these kids that are gonna be there.
This is kind of similar to day one, or
Yeah, and so much of this sounds the same, but it's a little bit different. Like the first one was obstacles in your life, right? This one is
This is your specific prayer request.
right. This one is more about things that you're afraid of in your life. You could end up getting really deep, like if some kids having problems at home and stuff like that. So you have to be a little bit sensitive there. But yeah, this is so it's very similar but subtly different. Okay. Letting kids know that you hear them. And then at the very end, we threw in a game there, but again, we don't know if we'll have time to play a game or not. So it's kind of like if there is time, then you can play that game, or you can have other games in your back pocket. There's nothing spiritually significant about the games. Although, who was it, Patty Blue, or somebody in the other group was just like rattling off, hey, you could take this game and you could just say this instead, and it makes it part
Instead
of
of Simon says, you know,
right. It's Moses says, or whatever, or something like that. Or so if you can come up with like a clever, normal game that kids play, but throw a little twist in there, maybe it'll have to do with the lesson. But there's a game if you have time to play at the end. Cool. Does that make sense? We've done day 2. You want to pause and restart? On to day 3. We're going to go even faster now. Now we're getting
I'd
nervous.
be surprised if you have time.
I know, all this is in 45